What's up everybody and welcome back to the second stream. If you watched the last one, you will know that in the last video we were sculpting a piece of fantasy armor inside ZBrush with some help from some SVG files within Inkscape and Substance Designer. We sort of beveled those in order to make alphas for ZBrush. So that was the end of the last video. We ended up with our final ZBrush model. I exported that as an OBJ, and then what I did was I used XNormal as seen over here in order to bake my high poly version of around 26 million polys into a low poly version, which was the original model that I imported into ZBrush. So of course that means we're going to end up with a normal map and a height map for our model, and this is what you can see in the top left corner over here. Now I was using XNormal to bake out these different maps from the high poly to the low poly version. However, I was having some trouble with when baking. It always seemed to crash on the ambient occlusion map. So for now I'm going to go without the ambient occlusion map and just carry on and maybe bake it at a later stage. Now if I open up this map, you can see it over here. For some reason, it seems to have also accounted for the normals of all of my different heights and stuff like that. Whereas if it was comparing it to the original model, which already had these, I'm not too sure why it did that. So what I want to do is I want to go into Photoshop and just fix those a little bit. You'll see that the height map isn't really true to the actual height of our thing. But that's because I wasn't actually interested in the height map itself. I actually wanted to use it as a mask inside Substance Painter. So the first thing we're going to need to do is open up Photoshop and deal with those two images. So, excuse me, I'm just going to flatten out those two images and make it so that the blue areas stay blue inside the normal map, the black areas will stay black inside the height map, and then we can begin texturing our model. Okay, so first up we have our normal map. As far as I know, this is, okay, it's 2K, which isn't ideal. I might have to rebake that at 4K, but it'll be fine for now, and it'll just give us an idea of what we're looking for. And actually in Substance Designer, it's going to contribute to our overall texture map instead of being it itself. So shouldn't have to worry about that too much. So all I'm going to do is just first select everything in here and just get rid of this unnecessary normals. I'm not too sure why it did do this, as I stated previously, but I hope I'm not doing anything wrong by going over this. I just can't think of a reason that these normals are present when the low poly version of our model already had all of these ridges and stuff like that. So it's for that reason that I decided to just get rid of all of this, and that should be fine. But otherwise our normal map is looking pretty good, apart from these few little discolorations, I guess you could call them. Okay, so let me just do that. And for this one, I'll probably be a little bit more careful about not getting any of my normal map here. At the end of the last video, I had exported the high poly model from ZBrush to Blender, and that was about 6 million polys, but then looking back on it, I don't know if it was high poly enough. When I was baking, I was getting some jagged edges, so on and so forth. So I decided to rebake at a higher density or higher poly model. So I baked from the 27 million poly model, and that was about 1.75 gigs big, just that one model. So of course it was ridiculously big, but it seems to have worked out fine, and I'm getting a lot more detail than with the lower poly one. Okay, I think that's everything. Okay, that looks fine, so I'm just going to export that and just save it over the previous. And I'm going to go ahead and do the same with my height map, which is over here. Oh no. What has happened over here? Let me try re-export that. Okay, that seems to have turned out fine. So now I'm just going to go ahead and do the same with the height map. So of course I will need that, just plain black. And I'll do the same with this. So the reason why I want this black and white mask is I want a mask inside Substance, which I can use to differentiate between these sorts of metal engravings and the rest of the armor. So in a second I'm going to go and collect some reference images, but my idea is sort of gold paint, or rather, sorry, gold metal that has been painted over. So all of the ornamentation that we've done so far is going to make up the metal part of the armor, and then this black part will consist of a sort of faded leather or something like that. I'm still in the planning phase for that. Seems to have been a bit harsh in my height map. Let me just go back and decrease the size on that. So actually, can I just fill this? Let's try. Okay, that seems to be a better solution. Should have just done that from the start. Nope. Okay, so there are some limitations to that, but all in all, it seems fine as a method. And then of course also off camera I had to UV unwrap our low poly version of this model, which results in the image as you see it now. UV unwrapping is one of those things where at the moment I'm also not very, I wouldn't say I'm comfortable with UV wrapping as of yet. It just seems to be one of those things that you just get better at as you work at it, but I'm not entirely confident with my UV unwrapping yet. Besides that though, this is looking okay. Is that everything? Looks to be, so I'm just going to go ahead and export that. Let's give that a second. Okay, that's done. So let's continue. So before I start texturing with Substance Painter, I want to get a few reference images, and let's look for Game of Thrones armor. Something like that. I like the sort of contrast that they have between leather and metal, which is what I'm sort of looking for. I think this is probably closest to what I'm looking for. You can see that. Okay, let's have to save that. I don't want a WebP. What is that? Okay, I guess I'm not getting that one. This is sort of what I'm looking for. If you look at this red section over here, you can see that there is some sort of patterning going on over there. And I'm thinking the color scheme would be something like black, red, and brass, something like that. Is this Ed Sheeran? It is, okay. There we go. This is what I'm sort of looking for. Nope. Also, looks pretty good. That's kind of a good look. So let me actually look at some of the, I'm looking for a close-up of one of these. There we go. Not so much a close-up as a, I like this one because you can see that there's some darkening around the edges of that, so I can try do that. And then I think you can also bake maps inside Substance Painter, so maybe I can get some ambient occlusion from that. Hopefully that will work. Okay, I'm trying to look for some detail here just so I can have a rough idea of the kind of roughness maps that I want to get. And why are you taking so long? Yeah, let's try that. Okay, I just want to get a PureRef document going with some of these. Makes my life a little bit easier. And there we go. Okay, so let me minimize that and I'll open up Substance Painter. I'm just getting a warning over here. It's telling me to change the cache location. Cache? It's telling me to change that location of my temporary files, but I'm pretty sure I've done that. Why is this not valid? Okay. update a local temp. Okay, I'm just going to try change this quickly. One update. Okay. Sorry, just need to restart there. I need to free up some space on my SSD, obviously. There we go, thank you. So let's go about making this new project. This is my low poly version, and now I can, from my desktop, grab these two and let's work at 2K. Should be fine. Okay, so now I've just gotten used to ZBrush's controls, so I'm going to have to re-familiarize myself with this. So I'm just going to start off by getting my height and my normal, actually just my normal in here. There we go. Looks pretty good. Okay, that looks fine. I actually realized when preparing for this video that I could have just imported my alphas into... Sorry, just a second. Why do my normals look like they're pushing in instead of out? Sort of as if the y-axis needs to be... The y-axis is inverted. Am I crazy? Maybe I'm crazy. No, I don't think I'm crazy. What is going on here? Let me try get my height in here. Oh wow, that looks truly terrible. Okay, so this height map that I wanted to use for my mask is not helping me at all. So I'm probably going to have to rebake that. I'm going to try do it on stream and hopefully my computer doesn't crash. But let's go ahead and try that. I'm not going to save anything. It doesn't seem to work. So let me just... I'm just going to save the stream now and just resume it, and then I can at least have a backup point in case this crashes. Okay, so let me try with X normal to bake a proper height map to get some better results. So I have my high poly mesh, my low poly, and then my baking options. I just want a height map at 2K. I hope that's going to be enough, but I'm not going to risk anything else. So that should be fine. And I'll call this 1 so I don't have anything rewritten. And the stream's probably going to freeze a little bit over here, so if it's too bad I'll just cut this part out and edit it. But let's see what happens. I'm just checking the camera and the viewport here and just seeing if it's freezing at all, and if it is, then I can take some emergency action. Okay, so far so good. Worst comes to worst, I can just time lapse through this if you're too if you don't want to watch this in its entirety. Okay, there we go. It's going to give me some warning now about there we go, about this being too small, but I'm not too sure what that means, so hopefully it's okay. Yes, with 26 million polygons, this is going to take a while, I'm sure. At the moment it's done 10.5. Okay, there we go. Fingers crossed everything goes well. Oh, no, there we have it. Not working too well. Okay, so I'm just going to pause the stream quickly and then I'll continue once I've got that height map that I need up and running. This one, except that this is more flat and doesn't have as much gradation in the whites and grays, whereas this will present a more accurate height map if I do need it inside Substance Painter. So now we can go ahead and get started. Okay, so let's go through all of this again. Okay, so we just need those 3, and then we can get started. So first of all, let me just save this just in case we need to. Okay, so let's get started by adding a fill layer, and we're going to need the height of normal. Okay, so let's see what we have. So I just need to make sure I have the right one, something like that. Why is it doing this, I wonder though? I don't like that. Let's try that original one again. Not any better. If there was a way I could adjust the normal intensity, I might be happier with that. Okay, I suppose it doesn't matter for now. So this first full layer is going to have this, and then my second full layer I'm going to, let's see what I want to do. Okay, so I obviously need a gold layer. So I'm going to use that as my mask. How do I add a fill for that? And that needs to be this. So let's get, I'll use the brass preset. There we go, that looks fine. And it's fading out quite nicely, so that looks good. But of course I can adjust everything as needs be. Okay, so that looks fine. I'm going to go ahead and create another full layer, which actually I'm going to copy this mask and remove the mask and just make it over here. And I will need to invert that. And what's nice about this levels is I should be able to now adjust my gold amount. So unfortunately it's fading in quite a bit there, but I can adjust it quite nicely. Okay, I'm happy with that. That's looking fine for a start. And now in this one, let me try the artificial leather. This of course makes it a lot easier for me to see something like that. Okay, so it's looking good for a start. And what changes do we want to make? I wonder, let me try something. I want that sort of color for this. Okay, no. I can try put the mode to always on top and then see if I can try something over here. There we go. Bit yellower. What am I looking for? Okay, let's try something else. There we go. I like that. And I can change that back to always on bottom. Okay, so we're on our way. Of course, I'll need to... What options do I have here? I can affect the roughness of this. Probably the less rough, the better. And I'll of course need to add a roughness layer at a later stage. So let me decide on colors first. So what I want to do is I think I will do that black faded red effect there, and then I'll make the sides gold like they've done there. So do I have an option for color over here? I do. Okay, so let's grab that. Okay, this isn't working out how I thought, so I'll just take that. That looks fine. What mode was I on by default? Doesn't matter now, I suppose. And I'm just going to make this a little bit more red. Okay, so now I'm going to try to affect the balance and contrast just to see what sort of roughness I can work with. Something like that. There we go, we're getting a nice bit of shine there. Perhaps a bit too shiny. Let's go and make this all a bit rougher. Like that. Something like that. Okay, so we've got a good amount of shine here. I'm already liking the variety that we've got. So, I'm going to need to I'll create another mask which will only affect this front facing thing. Let me just save first. What texture am I working with? Okay. Okay, so I'm going to have this section in here be black, this gold, and then this red with that brown fading, and then I think this inside should also be black. So what I need to do is, for my mask, I can just remove these polygons up here and around. Or I could do it with a separate one. Okay, so let me view that mask. Okay, so I need to make these black. But I'm going to do this with polygons. So, oh no, I don't want to do that. Okay, do I just click them? Okay, I'm going to need to paint. Do I need to click these, or can I somehow do it quicker? Okay, let's just go with it. Enjoy the vast amounts of clicking I'm about to do. It's just hard to see what I'm doing, really. Check the material. That is looking fine. I don't want to see you anymore. Can you please go away? There we go. And as a bonus, I even got some of those black ones. Okay, so this is a start. I'm obviously going to have to make this a bit more grunge-ier. So let me go back into my mask and finish that off. I don't like the fact that it's whatever I select, it's going to select the back of that as well. That doesn't strike me as particularly. It's maybe because I'm doing it this way instead of proper way. I don't know. Sorry, I should be on the paint layer here. Can I paint? No, apparently not. Did I make this a separate? Okay, let me go into this mode. There we go, that seems easier. So now, there we go, much easier. Okay, good on you, Substance, for giving me that easy way out. That is lovely and quick. I love it. Oop. I'm just going to keep constantly saving because at this stage of my life, when it comes to 3D art, I have the biggest amount of paranoia when it comes to saving. Okay, oh no, because I'm nosy, let's have a look at how this is looking. It's also affecting the height, which is maybe not so desirable. It's looking good so far. I'm liking where this is going. I'm just going to have to really look at that, look at this roughness, because it's way too shiny for my liking. I didn't mean to do that. What have I done? Okay, so let's go back into our mask and keep working on that. God damn it. Okay. These curves are going to be difficult, but they're actually fine. rotate that? I didn't know that. So let's rotate this to make it more straight and easier to do that. Oh, wow, substance, you never cease to amaze. I just got some serious vertigo from looking at that twist too quickly. Okay, nearly there, nearly there. Okay, how do I get you nice and can I... There we go. Okay, you are looking good. What have I done over there? I don't know if I want that. So let me do this and I'll just quickly hand do these. My only concern now is I have a 2K normal map, which is, I don't know, it might need to be bigger. Okay, so let's go here and okay, how's that looking? Okay, no, I need to do that back end part, but I feel like in my UV map I split it there. And what I'm gonna do is, it seems like this is a lot higher than the, no, it's not. So why is this making me, why is this giving me such a big gap when the mask should just be on the polygon, if that makes sense? So, maybe you are the problem. You have a height. Let's turn that off and see what happens. That doesn't look very good. How much of a difference does that make? Okay, I'm gonna have to use your height. I'm gonna have to bump it down way. Okay, so you. Okay, so maybe it's just the fact that you have any height whatsoever. Maybe it's. Oh, there we go. Let's see what that. Wow, okay, I did not want you. It's pretty cool though. It's a bit rough for me though. Let's try something a bit more subtle. Oh, hey. Okay, that looks good. I like that. Okay. So now I'm wondering if I should make another mask on top of this. Can I multiply it like in here like I can in Substance Divider? Because then in Substance Designer, sorry. So then what I'd do is, if I can do that, is I'd make a mask with this main face and then multiply it by some edgeware around here, just so I can get a nice linear gradient around there where I want to change the color to black. First things first though, let's save. And let's play around with this artificial leather. Looks like they did a really, whoa, that looks pretty cool. Except now it looks inlaid instead of outlaid. Is that the word I'm looking for? Okay, so the more I play around with that, the better that looks. Okay, I'm going to work on my gold color because it's going to bother me how clean this is. So I don't know if I'm going to work on the color or just the roughness. So this is looking like it has some variation in color, so I'm going to need to work on that. And then it's those, let's have a look at good old Jamie over here. There's definitely some variation in color over there, so let me do that. So I'll create some new layer and I'll have a black mask and I'll copy this mask. And then I'll just have to remember to to keep it updated at a later stage. So I'm going to be painting now. How am I going to be painting? I'm going to need not metal. Roughness, yes, small, yes, height, no. Okay. So let's try that for starters. Maybe bump up the, and then the roughness I want quite high. Actually, let's leave color for now and just work with roughness. And I can actually keep you there. Why not? Okay, so let's see what this does. Am I having any effect? Whoa, this is the wrong mask. I don't want to invert the mask background, I want to invert the mask. There we go. There we go. No, what's happening? Let's view this mask. Okay, so I should be able to paint on this now. What am I doing wrong? So let's go back to roughness and there we go. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is just get some alphas going, some grunges. Okay, this is my first time using 2019 Substance Designer actively, so there's some more alphas here than I'm used to. So let's just go with an overall. Okay, should it be more rough? To make this easier on me to see what I'm doing, I'm going to make the initial roughness quite a lot lower. Then I should be able to see. Let's do that first, and then I can go up to my paint layer. I think I am going to have to change the color because it's not working for me at the moment. It's not the effect that I want. So let's go back to you. Color, and let's see what this looks like. I'm going to go darker. I feel like I need to. There we go. Just takes a while to show up. I'm going to need to go, I think, a little bit more subtle than that. All of the grunges now seem to be, so it used to be that you had some grunges that weren't square. Maybe that's just the hardness maybe. So I need to work on how to, so control on this is size, shift on this is light, up is size. I need to, this is rotate. There we go, that's flow. And what else haven't I done? Rotate, flow. Looks like I need all the flow I can get. Okay. This is very, very subtle. I'm going to go darker. No, thank you. And let's change up the alpha while we're here. And let's flow. Let me try on these side areas because they seem to be okay, not making much of a difference, are we? Let me go look for some better alphas because it's making me anxious. Let me try something like, maybe I must try some scratches actually, but first I'm going to try this. Okay, so we're getting a better result there, and if I go back down here and change this, okay, there's some difference there. Except okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to have this layer, and then can I add another black mask? Nope, I cannot. I wanted to multiply that mask by another mask in order to get some roughness going. Okay, let's approach this a different way. First of all, what I'm doing is I'm going to get my gold mask completed because I'm worried that I'm going to forget to change it at a later stage. And then I might also go in and manually change this. So what I mean by that is, let me go to my mask, and I'm just going to, I doubt I'll get this right, but what I can do is I can try, this is going to work out terribly, but I could try manually. Oh no, that looks horrible. It's not that bad, but I wish it was more subtle. Nice that I can actually alter that a bit. So this will be the closest to... Okay, that looks good. Well, not good, but it's fine. So I can just bring back some of these that I want to. So for instance, over here, I should be able to... There we go. It would be nice to be able to get a nice linear line like that. I feel like automatically whatever I did is not going to look great, so I'm going to leave it. You know what, it's not too big of a deal. However, I do need to get the rest of my mask done, so what I'm going to do is come back over here and let's get that done. Okay, so I need to look over here, mask, and I want you on. I need to be in the paint layer. Okay, so now I can go to this and see that this is this. Whoops. That's slightly odd that it's affecting that. I hope this isn't filling in anywhere else. And I also want to do this gold effect up top the pauldron, but I'm not too sure how I'm going to separate those two unless I make the whole thing gold except for that little inlaid section where all my patterns are. It's probably what I'll end up doing. Okay, let me be careful over here. I don't want to get any of those blacked out. Not you two. And I also do need to make sure that I have enough black leather, that is, going into this, because I'm not sure that you'll see it if I only have it in that crevice between the top and the sides. I'll show you what I mean now, but I'm just thinking ahead while I do something as boring as this mask. Okay, hopefully that is fine. Looks good. So let's check this out. So that's looking good. So I'm going to make, so what I was talking about right now is I will make this area black leather. And then I think the only thing to do is make all of this gold except for that center part. I'm slightly worried that might be a little too much gold, but what can you do? I don't think it would work with black. They do have some black up there. Obviously I'm not using reference images that are exactly the same, so it's hard to say exactly what I want. Okay, it does seem this is a bit shinier though. This is, I think that's cosplay, so maybe don't look at that too closely. Okay, that seems fine. Okay, so what I will do is I'm reluctant to make this entire thing gold, but it would make sense because, okay, yeah, I'm going to have to do that. So what's the easiest way to do this? I think I UV unwrap these to a decent group. So let's go back into our mask and get that done. Paint. Okay, so I'm pretty sure I unwrapped this. Okay, so this is all by itself, so I should be able to leave that UV island alone. So what I will need to do then is I can fill a whole UV island. Let's see what that does. I have a fairly good feeling about that. Okay, that's what I'm talking about. That doesn't look too good. What is going on over there? That's probably due to my unwrapping, but I don't know. This gold is very clean. It's bothering me immensely, so I need to get to work on filling that. Okay, so we have that UV island or rather filled. So let me try this one. Which one are you? Yeah, that one. And the final one's that one. There we go. Okay, is this too much gold? No, I think it's fine. Let's check how this is all. Okay, I'm not entirely happy with that. But what can you do? Let me adjust this leather's height and just... Okay, I'll just have to see what I can do about that later. Maybe if I go up in, I'm just going to save this and I'll go up in texture size and see if that sorts it out. It's better, and I suppose we're not going to be viewing it from that close anyway. But now I need to make sure that this mask is really well masked. Okay, so what am I going to need to do now? I don't know, maybe if I should have had this as a, no, never mind. Okay, I'm going to go back down to 2K and start working on this. So I want to get this now just to be the same type of leather but just black, and also the same goes for this. So I could, okay, so I'm going to make a fill layer on top, and it's going to have a black mask, and then the mask needs to be the same as it needs to be the inverse of the gold one, but only really for these. So I'm going to add a fill and use this. So now we have all of that masked out, and what I can do is get rid of that. So I'm going to add a paint, and if I look at this mask, I don't want to look the wireframe anymore. What was I going to say? Okay, do I need the inverse of this? Do I? I do. Okay, so I'm going to need to invert this mask. This is difficult because I need to get just this area. Let me go ahead and make this that black artificial leather so long. So now I need to mask everything except that. So everything needs to be black except that island. Okay, I have a good way to do this. So I can just go in here and just make everything black. Okay, great stuff. So UV chunk fill, so bam. I need a paint layer. There we go, there we go, there we go. Aha, okay, that was easier than I expected. There we have it. Obviously, I just need to play around with the color and the roughness and stuff like that, which I will do. So let's do that quickly. And then nearly done with this. Probably just need to add some roughness variation to the gold, that black halo. Oh, I'm not done with this because what I need to do is I need to add to that mask over there. But first let me just play with the roughness a little bit. So let's go, that looks better there. Just want to get some roughly matched over here. Okay, let's see how that looks. Okay, so now just to my black leather mask, I'm going to need to add just this tiny little area over here. So that needs to be mask, that needs to be white. Okay. It's probably going to be easier if I do this over here. doing this right? Okay, that does seem to be changing the color, so looks good. No, thank you. Is there an area where these are slightly bigger? Because I'm tired of working with these tiny polygons. Also, is there an easier way to... Okay, I can change up there, but that's also not the quickest way. Can I try and see if there's a way if I can change between black and grey more quickly? Doesn't seem to be. Probably because of the mode that I'm using. What does this do? Invert value. That's cool. Okay, I will use that. Thank you. Okay, it's 7:15 now. I have about 45 minutes left before I have other things to do, so hopefully we can get everything done by that time. Is there like I tried pressing I to see if that would invert my values quicker. It didn't work. At least this one I'm only going to be changing the color, so there shouldn't be... There's still some of that height difference, but it's sort of unavoidable, I think. I'm also wondering why it's so aggressive with this mask. So let me just do this slowly, try and get it right first time. This is a much quicker method of masking than what I'm used to. I mean, I usually did have the polygon select on, but this is working out quite well, I think. Then I'm going to try bake out some ambient occlusion maps and stuff like that, because obviously that's how we get our generators and dirt and stuff going. So we'll see how that works out for me. And then of course I need to at the end decide how big these texture maps are going to be. This isn't anything that really needs to be game ready, although it's okay. So if I'm going to be rendering this in Marmoset Toolbag, I'll probably make this a 4K texture, maybe even 8K if I'm feeling up for it, but probably not 8K because my normal map and height map are only 2K, so I don't know if I'd get away with that. Is that done? That looks done. Great, so now, oh no, I've missed this. Did I? What have I missed? First of all, you are not looking too good. Okay, I've missed some. Let's go back. and finish that off. I was working like this. Paint. I do wonder why that is so sensitive. Oh, my wrist is cramping up a little from doing this. For those of you watching who use drawing tablets or anything like that, how would you do something like this? I mean, I understand that you would just draw a rectangle, or you would draw out like that. But is it more sensitive than this? Is it more accurate? I'm considering buying a Wacom tablet or something like that, especially if I'm going to be using ZBrush more often, but I haven't fully decided yet. So if anyone's watching this and has some input on the matter, let me know. I would appreciate it. Nearly there, nearly there. You know what? You can just be manually done. Okay, thank goodness that is over with. So, there we go, that's our mask. So now, final step is to get some nice roughness variation and color variation going with the gold and the leather. So let's work on that. So what is this? Okay, so I already have this. So this is my gold variation layer. But I actually think I'm going to do it as a full layer because maybe I can get, it'll be easier than hand painting. And so let's add a new fill layer. And might as well have it there. Add black mask. And I want my gold. Copy mask and paste into mask. What is going on? This is not what I wanted. Okay, so this is my red mask, so I should probably invert this. Is that right? There we go, that's my gold mask. It's not showing up there a little bit. So I want this to be I think it's called a pass-through layer. Multiply. Okay, so it seems to have. Okay, this is interesting. So I can use this as a multiply layer just for the height. I mean the roughness. So what I'll do is I'll try and let's see what this does with. Ooh, that does not look good. Can I tile that a little bit? There we go, getting somewhere. It's a little bit too freckly for me, that one. So let's use a different, let's look for a grunge. And of course there's going to be too big, so let's try 10. It's looking better, but it's got this sort of uniform stripiness to it that I don't like. But it's definitely looking better. But there's also the fact that some of it is now completely shiny here. However, if I take that and bump it down, why are you not getting... Let me try some different modes over here and see. Okay, so the normal's doing exactly the same thing. Replace. Disable. No, okay, so let me have a look at this. So I can adjust the balance and stuff over here. So let's go have a look at that. Balance. We want something like that. And it's interesting, but not what we want. And can I make this triplanar? I wonder if that would give me a better result or not. So it's definitely looking more grungy, but now it's got this weird like pattern to it. So let's keep that there. And let's change this to, I'm not seeing, okay, let's just change it something like that. Whoa, okay, that's all more the look I'm going for, but that is of course very shiny. So let's go ahead and go to roughness and get this balance right. That looks better. I don't know what you mean. There we go. I like how that looks. That's looking pretty grungy. I wish I could get rid of some of that stuff that's sort of mirror-like, because that doesn't look too realistic. Otherwise, that looks pretty good. I like it. So let me see if I can get rid of those black areas. So balance. I'm going to need to go very high with this and then maybe contrast. If I bump down the opacity on this, what would happen? Nothing, apparently. I'm not too sure how these work, to be honest. Okay, so let's see how this looks. That is way too rusty. Yeah, that's way too rusty. So let's bump this down. Maybe something like that could work. Okay, but you know what? I'm going to leave that for now. Okay, I don't want to see this gizmo now, thank you. I'm just going to bump this up to 4K momentarily and see what we get. Okay, this looks pretty good, I think. Okay, that looks fine. I'm going to bump it back down to 2K and let's continue. Okay, so let's get going on this. So let me just get an idea of that reference again. So it looks like sort of just a linear gradient. So that's what I'm going to do. And also I want something that could sort of fade the leather maybe and make it sort of maybe sun bleached, something like that. Maybe around, maybe around the normal map. That would maybe look quite good. I'm not too sure yet. Let me adjust this color and see what we get. That's very black. I want black with a sort of red tinge to it. Okay, let's get going on this mask. So, I'm trying to think how I would do this. Okay, I'm going to do this with a full layer. And I'm going to have a black mask, and then I'm just going to select that whole UV chunk that we need. There we go, and let's add a fill. I don't want a fill. Why did I do that? Not a fill. How do I delete that? I want a paint, and I want this, and I want that one. What did I do? That was mesh fill, that wasn't UV island. Okay, let's get you back and M. Okay, the problem is now that that is included, which I didn't want. So back into the mask, what can you do? And let's get rid of that as quick as we can. Hello. And then paint, mask. What did I do here? Okay, that seems to be fine. Okay, sorry, I'm still on this mode. I wish there was another sort of mask method where you could maybe mask according to curves or something on the actual mesh. I feel like it would make life a lot easier. Then again, maybe there is something like that. Maybe I just have no idea that it exists. See, that mask there made no sense. How is this not covering some of these? Unless it is taking the curvature into account sometimes. Okay, let's get that going. That. How far am I? Okay, past halfway. The reason why I tend to use fill layers and mask instead of just having various different paint layers for roughness and stuff like that is because I watch a channel, their name is Flipped Normals, I think that's what it's called, and they say that Substance Painter should actually be called Substance Fill because it's a lot easier and more effective if you rather create a full layer, have a mask, and then whatever you have in your full layer you can go back and you can change after the fact. So even if you make a mistake with your painting somehow, you can't go back and change a brush stroke that you've made, but you can go back and change the settings of your fill if you need to, and you can always just adjust the mask. So that was their logic. I thought it was pretty solid, so it's the advice that I've tried to follow for a while now. Now my next concern is how I'm going to get a linear gradient for this next section. I might just paint it and then erase with a linear gradient maybe, I'm not too sure. So now what I'm going to need to do for this is I'm going to need to get the exact same fill layer as I did for my red leather and then just make it black. There we go, nearly there. Okay, great, fantastic. Okay, so let's go back to you and go back over here. So now, obviously I'm not done with this, so what I need to do is on my mask, I'm now going to need to paint, but with a paintbrush. And I'm going to need to make this sort of a linear gradient with black. Okay, so I'm just going to try this and see what I can do freehand, and then I'll have to work out something else if this doesn't work. too nicely. I have to say I'm not liking it so far. But let's see. Let's have hope. Let's have faith. I can always come back and edit the mask. I just have to keep telling myself that. Okay, so now what we're going to do is this is only going to be color. You are going to be black. There we go. That looks okay. Let's get to you and kind of like it. I just want the roughness to reflect this a little bit, and yeah. So now what's nice is I can go back and I can just affect that a little bit, and then I can go back into my mask and make this a little bit softer. So I'm going to edit my mask over here. So let's see what this does. Sorry, I need to be in paint. So this will make it red. So I need to go into white. Maybe there's a, let's find an alpha linear gradient. Linear gradient, I knew it. Okay, so let's try that. Obviously the wrong way round, so let's rotate that, and maybe it's better if I work on my UV map here. Okay, let's get you rotated, and okay, I can adjust that, which is nice. Let's try that. Okay, so it's very subtle. Okay, it's not going to work just because of the directional nature of this. I do also want the roughness of this to be different to everything else. So I take this roughness all the way down. There we go, we get something like that. So I'm going to take the average roughness of this and make it just a bit lighter. And then I'll probably have to go in and make it, get some grunge in there at a later stage, which I can do right now actually. So let's get a grunge going. Okay, there we go. The only problem is it's not exactly the same grunge as the leather. So what? Okay, they used a grunge map 30 custom. Okay, can I use that somehow? Map 30. Apparently I cannot. What if I search it over here? Grunge map 30. Okay, apparently I can't use that. I think that might be a substance designer thing. So I guess all I can really do is find a roughness that, rather a grunge that will match as closely as I can find one. There we go, that doesn't look bad. So let's go to roughness and adjust this a little bit. So let's get you right up there. You should also be triplanar. How is that looking? I think I actually just made the mistake of making this more rough, which should be less rough. That's fine. Okay, I actually don't like that a lot. So let me go back into roughness and see what I can do about this. Invert. Bump this down to about there. Ugh, I wish contrast meant something else. Because I don't want any contrast. I'm going to leave it there, and I'm just going to play around with my mask a little bit and see what we can do. Let's see if there are any other. Is there a radial gradient? No, that wouldn't help me. Let's just search for some gradients and see what I can do here. No, that's not going to work. Let's just go back to my default. What is the default? It's this one, isn't it? Squeeze and there we go. And let's see what we can do here. Okay, so it seems that sort of inadvertently I've stumbled upon something here. Except I want this the other way around. I'm going to make it so this is just some slight change in color, not too noticeable, around the edge. And I might just change the color up a little bit. I might have to go back and adjust the initial roughness of this leather as well, because whoa, okay, I need to be careful not to go into my other areas apparently. That's a bit too much. Except that is a bit too little. Okay, let's go and fix this up. Okay. How are we looking? That's looking. I'm trying to think of a reason why this change in color would occur. It's looking a bit too drastic for me right now. Is there a way I can maybe fade out the... Let me add levels to this and see what I can do, because that would help me adjust my... Oh my word. Okay, let me first go back into paint and get rid of all of this, because that looks terrible. And apparently I wasn't. Okay, let's keep our gold clean as far as possible. Okay, is that everything? So what I was trying to say earlier was, let me try and use the levels node to adjust the... I can get some fall off there, which is nice. Except it gets me all of this. So let's paint all of that out. One more flow, please. How do I increase the flow again? I've lost it. There we go, flow. Let's see what this looks like. Okay, I'm getting a better gradient there. And I can always just change the color actually at a later stage. I forgot about that. So let's go ahead and finish up this mask quickly, and then I can do the final touches on this, maybe some color changes to the gold, because of course it's going to be dirty, not just scratched and stuff like that. Actually, I should maybe go and see if there's a roughness map which is better for scratches. So we can go to this levels one and see what we can do. There we go. I'm happy with that. If just for this, leave my brass alone, it doesn't need to be touched. How's that looking? Okay, I like that. Let me go change the color up a little bit, and we can see. Why does this not appear to be changing? What am I doing wrong? Oh, it's probably this layer, isn't it? So let's make it fade a little bit more naturally. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get this color and just make it darker, just so I get a bit of a more subtle effect there. So that looks good, I think. I don't like that roughness map after all. Let's find a different one which is more something like that, because that looks better. It's not too contrasty. So let's affect the balance and the no, not the contrast. Okay, something like that. And what else did I want to do? My gold, I'm fine with that. I'm going to leave it. So now what I want to do is adjust the... I should have named my layers, I really should have. So I want to make this so that you are more rough. Something like that's looking good. Now what I think I'll do is I want some patches of lighter redness over there. So what I'll do is I'll just copy. Okay, what masks do I need now? I'll need this mask, which is my gold mask. Copy that mask, get a new fill layer. Where are you? Get that right at the top. And paste. So now this is going to be, I want to lighten, there we go. So I just want it to be color. It's not exactly what I had in mind. I just wanted splashes of color that were brighter or darker than the rest. But I need a... What happens if I do this? Can I change the color of it? Don't think so. Okay, so I'm going to have to contribute by this by just roughness, I suppose. So I want one that's something like that. Okay, so this one I want to be additive. I just want to see what difference this makes. Okay, so it appears the layer has to be under it to make a difference. I will keep that in mind. Okay, so let's see what effects I can do with this. And am I seeing you at all? There we go. Nearly there. Just want to get some of this done. You're not the one. This seems to be affecting my metal. It is. Let me just go back here and see what I've done wrong. See, what is that? Huh, that's probably because of this. But I don't know what to do. Multiply, place. No, definitely not. Pass through. Because my map is this. So if I change this to anything besides normal, it's not going to work properly. It's going to replace it, which I don't want. So but it's still doing this. I wonder why. Overlay. Okay, let's try that. Check out the roughness and play about with it. Oh, for God's sakes. Okay, so I guess I'm just gonna have to live with that. Am I using the right mask? I think I am. Okay, I'm gonna bite the bullet and I'm gonna paint these. So let's go all the way up there. And let's go paint these. So I want to make this a lighten. And then I'll make the color. Do I need a color if I'm just changing the roughness? No, that looks fine. I'm going to do something like that. But maybe I'll do that with scratches. Let's see what this looks like. I mean, it looks fine, but it's I don't think that's how it would look if I were to actually scratch leather. So let's just try some grunge. Some dirt. Okay, so the most likely spots would be the highest ones. So I'm just going to go there. There we go, that does something. I'm going to make this a bit rougher, just so I don't go too out of character there. So these are going to be my sort of wear and tear, different things. I think I just used you. Okay. I'm going to try to get this as random looking as possible, just so that I don't mess up my overall flow. But nearly done. Hour and a half in, I'd say. This is the time I'd like to try and keep most of my streams, so that should be fine. Let's see how you are looking. Okay, so I'm liking this. It seems fine. I'm trying to rotate. Final step is I'll probably just play around with the roughness a little bit. For interest's sake, let's look how all of this is looking. Pretty boring. Base color, metallic, roughness. So what I do, final pass will be a dirt layer, so I should have some color on this. So we're gonna have a new fill layer. This could be a bad idea. And it's only going to be color and roughness. So actually no, I will need a black mask, and this will be add a fill. And this is going to be, okay, I want grunge, but I want something very, there we go, something like that. That looks good. So what this is going to be is a certain roughness and a certain color. Let's go for a bit more brown. There we go, that looks pretty good. I like that. I'm going to make that. Let's see what we can do with this. Let's make it super rough and see what we can see. Let's add it some nice. Let me add a normal to this. And the height and see what we can do here. Except now the dirt's being added on top. So let's make sure that that height reflects that. Let's see what our base color looks like now. There we go, it's a bit more interesting. Okay, I'm liking this. I think that dirt layer was a good choice. However, what did I want to do with it? This, I want to just try play. That didn't work out. UV projection, I just want to make sure that this looks good. There we go, I think that looks pretty good. Can obviously adjust this height a little bit more. Maybe the only thing to do is change the roughness of this. Change the color just to get a bit more noticeable. And I just want to make sure it's also on top of my metal at some stages. Seems to be. So I think this is it. Can also of course adjust the opacity of this, but I prefer to do it through color. So you could go with something really white and it'll be really obvious. That looks kind of like ash, so I kind of like that. But let's go for a bit more of a subtle effect. Something a bit more like that. Okay, so I think that's it for this stream. Thank you very much for watching. I will be posting the renders of this on ArtStation probably in the next hour or so. So if you're watching after this has been posted, please go check it out, see what you think, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you for watching. See you soon.